Things seem to be heating up in the golf world in Australia. The country is home to one of the most beautiful golf courses in the world, so it's no surprise that members of the council at Meadowbrook Country Golf Course collected $12,000 to fight Logan City Council, especially because the council isn't approving a gaming license. Let's get into this and look at some more related news in this video. First, let's look at members of Meadowbrook collecting $12,000. As you've probably heard, Meadowbrook Country Golf Course is a non-profit organization, which is the complete opposite of the Logan City Council. It's no secret that they have a ton of funding and aren't afraid to use their power and influence to stop any steps that the Meadowbrook members might take to make the whole situation better. Most recently, the management of the Meadowbrook Club applied for a gaming license for the club, which the Logan City Council is yet to approve. Of course, the license isn't an issue, and the council should be able to issue it pretty quickly, except that this whole thing has been in process for like 6 whole months. Like we just talked about, the council is pretty influential, and money isn't really a problem for them, but members of Meadowbrook have just been so frustrated over the lack of clarity with everything that they just can't stand there and watch and do nothing. This week, after voicing all their complaints on social media, they managed to raise a whopping $12,000 to fight the Logan City Council and finally get that gaming license. So why does Meadowbrook need a gaming license? Tom Linsky, the manager of the Meadowbrook Country Golf Club, just recently explained why the gaming license is so important to get the club back on its feet. He said that it's extremely important for the club's survival in the long run because if they don't get it right now, it'll keep costing the club more and more money. People who don't love golf must be wondering why the members and management of Meadowbrook want to keep it alive, and Linsky addressed this too, saying that it's one of the best courses in Queensland. Now, is the course one of the best ones in Queensland? According to people other than Linsky, that's definitely very true, because the location and the beauty of the course is actually unreal. It has space for lovers of golf and their families too, and a really amazing outdoor dining area, which overlooks the beautiful greenery of the area. On top of this, the 27-hole course has the perfect size too, especially because of its secluded location, which gives members a lot of freedom to just relax and enjoy the sport they love. You can just imagine how upsetting it would be for members and management now that 3 whole sections of the course are dug up. In 2011, when this plan was announced, the club started to suffer and the turnover fell and members started leaving. Things just weren't the same anymore. Now, let's look at some more details on the sewage pipe disaster. We can't get into too much detail right now, but on the Meadowbrook Club's website, they have a 10-page document about the aftermath of this whole sewage pipes thing. Long story short, it was terrible for business. The effect that this had on the golf course as a whole was devastating, and honestly, it felt more like a construction site than a course. A lot of roads and rubble were right there in the middle of the club. Lastly, let's get into some more details about the feud between Meadowbrook's management and Logan City Club. Before the Meadowbrook Country Golf Course existed, there was the Logan City Golf Club, managed by their council. Technically speaking, Meadowbrook's the successor of Logan City. But how did this happen? Well, the land that the club was built on was being leased by Tom Linsky, and after this whole disaster, he decided that the best thing would be to take back the lease from the current owners. And that's exactly what he did. Golf courses and clubs are huge, and managing them is a pretty big responsibility, so it's definitely not easy or cheap. Unfortunately, there were a lot of issues with Logan City Club and members of the club after the whole sewage pipe issue. What can you expect? The Logan City Council put actual sewer pipes through it. The whole thing was majorly ruined, especially for people who saw the club as a nice and quiet escape. Even though it happened 10 years ago, Meadowbrook's still suffering from its repercussions. Despite all this, Tom Linsky is working extremely hard to rebuild the whole thing, and he's been doing a pretty good job at it. Maintaining a golf club takes up a lot of time and effort, and it looks like Mr. Linsky is trying very hard to gather as many resources as possible. This is exactly why it's so impressive that the members and management of the club were able to raise so much money to fight against the council. Even though they had a pretty tough battle in the Supreme Court too, the management of Meadowbrook isn't backing down, and it's really admirable what they're doing to preserve the sport. It looks like they'll need all the support they can get, and it's truly amazing how just the members were able to raise so much to fight the council. Now, let's move on to some other golf-related news. First, Cameron Smith makes his family and country proud. From what we just talked about, we can tell that Australians take golf pretty seriously. Cameron Smith is one of the few legendary players to come out of Australia and make history. He just won the British Open a few days ago, and he's only 28. Can you imagine that? He was competing with players who had double and even triple the experience that he has, and he still came out on top. After his win at St. Andrews, people were just so shocked, in a good way of course. The young golfer's win was made even more special because this was the 150th Open. Let's not even get started on the $2.5 million prize. Recently, his father opened up about how he's so proud of his son for making it this far. Des Smith talked about how his son's great achievement left him in tears, and he just couldn't believe it. He also talked about how he's been golfing buddies with his son ever since he was a child. It's just insane to think about how far he's come. The older Smith also talked about how he had a lot of faith in his son winning and always thought there was a big chance that he'd make it. He also didn't forget to mention how much of a proud moment this is for Australia, especially because it's been a while since someone from there has won an Open championship. Despite this huge achievement, Smith's career is just beginning, and we can't wait to see how he does in the future. Next up, Trump weighs in on LIV golf. Other than being known for being the President of the United States, Donald Trump has always had a vested interest in golf. He owns and frequents quite a few clubs around the world, and he recently talked about his opinions on LIV golf. Ever since LIV golf appeared, Trump didn't hold back in criticizing the PGA Tour at any chance he got. It's clear that he sides with the new Saudi-backed league. According to him, at some point in the future, LIV golf and the PGA Tour will merge, and all the players who are staying loyal to the PGA Tour will regret everything. According to him, if they don't move to LIV soon, they'll end up with nothing. This is a pretty big thing to say, but Mr. Trump seems pretty confident that it's going to happen sooner or later. He said if players don't move to LIV and get their money ASAP, they'll be left with nothing when the merger happens. Lastly, Scott Piercy ends up losing the 3M Open. The 3M Open has been pretty exciting and also quite rainy. The tournament was pretty competitive, with Piercy being in the lead in the round before the final. On Saturday, the play was delayed for almost 7 hours because of the rain in Minnesota. Playing at TPC Twin Cities in the rain with an extremely painful blister in his heel, it's extremely impressive how Piercy managed to shoot a 5 under 66. This meant that he had a pretty strong 4-stroke lead, which is amazing. Scott Piercy has 4 PGA Tour victories under his belt, so he's definitely not someone you should take lightly. The 43-year-old talked about how his performance gave him a confidence boost because, despite everything, he did well in the second last round. Unfortunately, he slipped up in the actual final round, making 5 bogeys. Tony Finau ended up winning the 3M Open, which is also his 3rd PGA Tour win ever. Piercy and Finau have been competing against each other for the past 15 years, and we can't wait to see what's ahead. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of this whole ordeal between the Logan City Council and Meadowbrook? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.